What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to Tour Junkies After Dark for the Open Championship 2022 from the Old Course at St. Andrews. We're both with you. DB, Pat, Tour Junkies. We just finished recording our betting show for the Open Championship. We also just got back from Scotland just a few weeks ago. We got to play the Old Course. They had the bleachers up. The leaderboards were up. It was a wonderful time, Pat. You and I both had some thoughts on how the golf course played. We got into that in depth on our own show over on the Tour Junkies YouTube channel. We're not going to get into all that here. We're just going to give you some quick outright bets, some top 20s, and a prop bet that we like for the Open Championship. It's a great week. It's one of the best tournaments of the year. This and the Masters neck and neck for me. You get to wake up early to some golf. It's the home of golf in St. Andrews. I know I'm already feeling magical all over my body, Pat. I'm sure you are too.
Yes, very. I'm feeling quite tingly. Because St. Andrews just infused itself into our bodies when we were over there, and it was a fantastic experience, and it's a great course, and I'm ready to get it going this week for the Open Championship, the 150th Open Championship.
150th. I'm jacked. We just got done recording our own show. I had drank a 40 ounce that was duct taped to my hand, a little Edward 40 hands, because I lost a bet.
Yep.
Pat is in a Ritz-Carlton resort on vacation. Other than that, it's completely normal Monday. So let's get to it, Pat. Let's talk about it. By the way, give the video a thumbs up, like the video if you don't mind, subscribe to the DraftKings YouTube channel, and let's get it going. Pat, at the top of the betting board, we both don't love betting favorites, but there's some value, I think, on mainly two guys for me. The first one is Matthew Fitzpatrick at 18-1. Not too many guys playing as good as Matthew Fitzpatrick right now. Maybe you could argue Xander Schauffele, having just won the Travelers. Then he came over across seas and won the JP McManus Pro-Am, which is an exhibition event in Ireland. And then he just hopped on over from Ireland to Scotland on like Tuesday evening and just won the Genesis Scottish Open. Like, Xander's pretty hot. He's at 14-1 or something like that. Fitzpatrick, though, at 18-1, your U.S. Open champion. Great links player, 18-1 on DraftKings. I kind of like it. And then finally, Cameron Smith at 28-1 on DraftKings. I love that. When we were playing the Old Course, it just took a handful of holes for me to go, okay, this to me screams Jordan Spieth and Cam Smith, because around the greens at the Old Course and on the greens at the Old Course, you have to have a ton of creativity. You have to have a ton of touch, finesse. The Old Course is not a course that you can overpower. Even though it's short off the tee in terms of yardage by the pro standards, you can't overpower it. You got to be able to get up and down out of these bunkers. You got to be able to get up and down out of these tricky spots. There's a lot of undulation on these greens. Who can handle that better than Cam Smith? And to me, Cam Smith at 28-1, a great value, had a really good Sunday this past Sunday at the Genesis Scottish Open. So I will take those two in this kind of top tier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you kind of slipped on his name a little bit, but if I'm going up near the top, I like Jordan Spieth at 16-1. I know we don't take a lot of the shorter odds guys, but I think Jordan is just a perfect player for these type courses. He's shown it before. He's been playing extremely well lately. Kind of faltered a little bit down the stretch last week at the Scottish Open, had a terrible double bogey, I think on like hole 14 or 15. Otherwise would have been right there at the end. So I like Jordan Spieth at 16-1. And then Shane Lowry at 22-1, the Irishman who's won an Open Championship before, has a good Open Championship record, has a great game for this course. He's got a good short game. That's what you need. Has been really knocking on the door all year long. I've seemed to have him every time on my card, and he just never actually just wins. But I think he can win this week. So at 22-1, I like Shane Lowry here.
All right, hit me with the guys in the next kind of range, like maybe the mid-tier, kind of up to that 75-1 spot.
So a couple guys in here that I really love. Tommy Fleetwood is one of them.
Yes.
Okay. This is a guy. He has been playing fantastic. If you look at his stats, they just keep getting better and better after he went through a little bit of a bad year and a half. But 35-1 for Tommy Fleetwood, I really like, and I like his form. So he is one that I'm a big fan of this week. Another guy that I like too in this range is Max Homa at 40-1. Now Max is a guy that is a relative rookie to this type of golf, but he's come over. He's been excited to be in Scotland. He played the Scottish Open. I was kind of surprised. played fairly decent there, but then he just can't seem to get enough of Scottish golf. He even played, an extra 18 holes after a round on Saturday at North Berwick, where you and I have both played and loved. So I like his attitude, and then he's just a great ball striker. So I think at 40-1, that's a good number for him as well. Another guy, if I'm going a little bit longer in this range, that I think I like, I would say, you know what? I'm going to leave it to you. I think you're going to mention this guy, so I'm going to leave him to you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
pressure's
I'm
on.
going to be courteous here. So if you don't mention him, then,
Okay.
it's on you.
Tommy Ladd, I'm for sure in on. His form is undeniable. His record at the old course is very good, including the Alfred Dunhill Links, which is a DP World Tour staple. He's finished great there. Another guy who's really dominated the Alfred Dunhill Links, where 2 rounds are played on the old course, is Tyrrell Hatton. And he's at 40-1 on DraftKings. He's won the Alfred Dunhill twice. Then after that, he went on to finish 10th and runner-up right after doing so. So, like, great links player. Did have a good week at the Scottish Open. Tyrrell Hatton at 40-1 to take down his first major. I'm in on. And Joaquin Niemann at 50-1. I love some Joaquin Niemann. Love his low ball flight if the wind does start to pick up. Right now it doesn't look terrible, but if
that was who I was talking about.
Okay, good. Yeah, love Niemann. Great, like very underrated short game. The guy's known as a ball striker, but underrated short game. And just, general stud muffin. I think he could take down his first major as well at around 50-1 on DK. Other than that, that's probably it for me. Let's get into some of the bombs. If I'm getting into this range over 100-1, I will start at 100-1, and it's a guy that most people don't like to bet on. He's a live tour guy now, live golf guy. Patrick Reed at 100-1. Short-term Patrick Reed in terms of form has not been tremendous. Okay, it has been better. Long-term Patrick Reed, if we zoom out and we look at the kind of player Patrick Reed is, the old course suits him extremely, extremely well. He's got a top 10 at an Open Championship in 2019, a T12 in 2016. Reed is just a stud. Great short game. He can miss it a little bit off the tee and still be okay here. I think Patrick Reed at 100-1 is just a tremendous value, and I love it. He finished 20th here the last time it was played at the old course. So I'm down with P. Reed. I like that. Gary Woodland is a value to me at 130-1. Just had a decent Scottish Open finish. He's a U.S. Open winner. Just had a T10 at the U.S. Open this past year. Another guy who we know has that stinger in the bag. He can hit it low. He can keep it low. And normally the question mark for him is short game. He putted really well at the Scottish. So maybe these like slower greens and, the fescue grass is better for Gary Woodland. I don't know, but he putted well at the Scottish just this past week. So I like that. And then finally, the last one I'll give you is Jordan Smith at 150-1. He's a DP World Tour player, but just played really well at the Scottish. Honestly, going into Sunday, had a chance to win. Got off to not the best start on Sunday, but he's had a great year on the DP World Tour. He gains a lot of strokes off the tee. He's a bomber off the tee. He'll do well out here. He's got a links record to speak of. 150-1's a long, it's a long shot, but I like it.
Okay. Well, we've got some agreement up here. I don't mind Patrick Reed actually, but right along the lines of Patrick Reed, kind of a guy who's some love and some hate. And that's Billy Horschel is at 100-1. Won the Memorial Tournament on a difficult course earlier this year. I know that's obviously a totally different comparison, but he has been in decent form this year. He's a guy that's played a lot over in Europe. Over in Scotland, over in Ireland and the UK. So I do think that he is, really a guy that can win on this type of course. Now, he doesn't have a great Open Championship record, but if I remember correctly, a lot of the times it seems like it's always in some bad weather. You remember when he turned his hat around backwards and that actually got him on our show like a few years ago because I said something about it on Twitter and
that's right.
Whatever else.
To issue an apology.
Yeah, I did. And the weather was terrible and whatever. Now that I've been over there and I've seen what some of the weather can even, and our weather wasn't even that bad, but there were times where I actually did have to turn around my hat backwards because I didn't want it blowing off. It was like riding in a boat. You got to know to turn your hat around backwards. So I actually, I forgive Horschel then. And I think that Horschel can play. If we don't get like really bad conditions, I feel like he can win here. If it's bad and windy and rainy, which I don't think we're going to get, then I'd probably would not bet him at 100 to 1. But I do like Billy Ho at 100 to 1. And then lastly, Danny Willett at 150 to 1. He's another guy that's been coming in decent form. Obviously has played a lot of links golf. So I think Danny Willett 150 to 1, good bet there. So there you go.
All right, what about some top 20s? Give me a handful of top 20s that you like here on DraftKings.
All right, a couple top 20s that I like. If we're going kind of near the top of the board, one guy that I think is that I like this week. I don't like him as an outright, but I do like him as a top 20, and that's Justin Rose at plus 225. Another one, kind of like Fleetwood, not playing quite as well as Fleetwood, but he has shown some form lately. So I do like Justin Rose right there at plus 225. Another couple guys that I think you can look at. I like Webb Simpson. You're not a big fan of him, but I do like Webb at plus 350 to finish in the top 20. Just a solid all-around golfer. Doesn't need, especially on a course like this where you don't have to overpower it. Got to have a lot of creativity, good short game, all that kind of stuff, good putter. So Webb at plus 350 I like. Another couple that I will throw in here, Lucas Herbert is plus 500. I think that's a good number for him. And then also, actually, Danny Willett is plus 400 as a top 20. So if you don't like him as an outright, top 20 at plus 400 for Danny Willett, I think is a really good number.
All right, I'll start with some bombs. Wyndham Clark is at plus 650 to top 20. Just played the Scottish Open, did all right. He's one of the longer hitters on the PGA Tour. He's also one of the best putters on the PGA Tour, which is an interesting combination. So playing well in Scotland just last week, coming over here to get a little Open Championship experience. He doesn't have much of it to speak of, but plus 650 is attractive. I already talked about Jordan Smith as an outright at 150 to 1, but I think at plus 450 is a top 20 if you don't want to try that outright. I like Jordan Smith as a top 20. Ju Young Kim at plus 450, who just finished in the top 5 at the Scottish Open. He's a young South Korean player that apparently has no fear. He gained strokes across the board at the Scottish Open. That's a long shot at plus 450. I like that. Keith Mitchell at plus 250. I like it. He's got a lot of experience here at St. Andrews, even though it doesn't show on his Open Championship record. He grew up spending a lot of time in the area. Like that for Keith Mitchell. I mentioned I love Joaquin Niemann as an outright. I also like him as a top 20 at plus 210. And then we both mentioned Tommy Fleetwood as an outright. I also like him as a top 20 at plus 160. I do have one final prop bet, Pat. Now, we interviewed the Caddy Master at the Old Course on our DraftKings DFS show. He's been there 10 plus years. He's caddied in the Open Championship. He talked about scoring this year. Talked about how he felt like scoring was going to be pretty good, not a ton of wind, not any super like gnarly Scottish days out there, and felt like what that was going to do is it would lead to a bunched leaderboard at the Open Championship, which we've seen before. The last time it was played here at the Old Course, you had a 3-way playoff. DraftKings has a will there be a playoff prop, and the yes is plus 300, and I like the yes. I think we're going to have a playoff. I think it lends itself to scoring, lends itself to a playoff. With all the birdies to be had, may not be as many guys separating themselves from the field, just having a unreal day in brutal conditions to really pull apart from the pack. So I like that. Plus 300. Yes, there will be a playoff. And that is it for us for DraftKings After Dark, Tour Junkies After Dark, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook for the Open Championship 2022. Tons more Open Championship content on DK Nation, on DraftKings YouTube, and the Tour Junkies YouTube channel. Check it out. And may your screens be green. See ya. Out.